Welcome, listeners, to this week's episode of Unexplained Legends. I'm Roger O'Sullivan, and with me, as always, is
Denis, Hannah Montana, Len.
And together we are the Unexplained Legends. Denis, do you care to explain? Are you having the best of both worlds? Is that what's going on here?
You could say that, or the worst of one world.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know this about me, but I love setting things up and then not actually playing with them afterwards. And what I've been doing lately is I wanted an emulator. And lo and behold, got a really good deal on a PSP.
Oh, really?
You ever owned a PSP before?
I have not.
Lovely little handheld device, but I'm going to turn it into an emulator. Only catch, as I'll present now to you, and probably why I got such a good deal on it is
it is just a picture. Oh, here we go.
It's a Hannah Montana themed PSP. Rock out the show.
And this is not clear to you.
No, I was sold a box like this. As you can see, is a very clear PSP like box, just completely nothing.
Slim and light.
And it came. They said it came with a cover as well. I saw it on the internet. I saw it on the internet.
I'd say.
I saw it on the internet, and it was a black cover. And this is. Do you like to describe that, Raj?
Well, I would describe that as phenomenal. Hard to believe that would not add value to it. It is what I would describe it as a makeup bag, a Hannah Montana style makeup bag, except with the PSP official Sony logo embroidered on
it. Also, the PSP that I picked up that I got such a good bargain on. Just a normal black as well.
Hot pink.
Yeah, hot
pink. Do you mind me asking how much you spent on that?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do mind you asking. No, I got it. Okay. I got it for the exact same amount of money that all the rest of the PSPs are for sale on eBay. So if you want to look them up,
hang on. Let me. I'm just going to quickly look.
While you're looking that up as well, I was also doing a little bit of DIY this week, and I was fixing a fountain. Right, so it's a little little fountain feature. And I spent a good while trying to fix it and all the rest of it. And I don't know if I'll actually be able to show you this because we've gone very visual in the start of this podcast. But basically, when I got it fixed, I realized why the people that I fixed it for, again, they didn't want it fixed. I just thought it'd be a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
I realized why they didn't want it fixed. And so can you see that at all?
Oh, yes. Okay, well, what Denis has done is Denis has kindly done a bit of DIY for people that he's lodging with currently on their water feature. And now he's just shown me a picture of what can best be described as a stone penis that is just trickling out lovely
water. There's no other way to look at it.
So, did you spend £50 on the...
I did.
On the Hannah Montana PSP. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
They're going for about £120.
What, you mean the Hannah Montana one?
Yeah, the Hannah Montana one. They're rare.
So you mean I've got a bargain?
I mean you flip it.
I couldn't be arsed flipping it.
There's one person selling one for £189, and this is unboxed.
No way.
Yeah. They're honestly, any of those are usually worth a bit of money.
I've also got a Hannah Montana Rock the show as well, like as in there's an actual game with it.
That's worth nothing.
Anyway, Raj, how are you getting on this week? How's life treating you?
It's treating me well. I'm glad that you went down the PSP route because it's something I've thought about in the past, but now you can be my guinea pig. You can let me know how that works out. I've been doing okay. I have a working freezer now. It's currently stocked with a load of Mr. Freezes. That's a lie, actually. I ate all the Mr. Freezes in one day. That's true. And
wait, 2 packets, 40 Mr. Freezes.
2 days. So sorry. I forgot about the other packet.
So 20. You're on 20 Mr. Freezes a day.
Yeah, I am. I'm on a 20 a day habit. But I'm going to pop out and get some after this, hopefully. But the thing that I was going to really bring up is I still have yet to get rid of the second freezer because they accidentally sent the collection guy to a completely wrong house. It's a different part of London.
And he took their freezer.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so they're freezerless now. So I'm on the line for £300 for their freezer, and I'm stuck with a duplicate of mine. It's all going wrong for me.
Sounds to me like you're soon going to become the freezer king on your street.
Maybe, possibly. My dream is that they just forget about it, and I just get to maybe. I'd use this as some kind of hipster table or something.
Well, what you could use it as, you could use it as a Mr. Freeze pre-storage, like a pre-freezer. So you could get more Mr. Freezes, put them in there, and then transport them in. Something kind of like a cupboard or something.
No, that is a kind of that's foolish, I think.
Before
adding that level to it.
Before we get into what we're doing this week, I really do think that you didn't pay the stone penis splashing out water enough attention, just for how horrific that thing looks.
Oh, well, I was going to say it actually looks like if one of the guys from the Neverending Story was taking a piss. But I don't think anyone would get that. The stone golems from that.
Have a look at them. It's spot on. Absolutely spot on.
Like, you can just picture that's what's under their trousers.
Here, how big do you think? What's his name? The big dragon, or the big dragon thing?
Falcor.
Falcor. I mean, he must be packing.
I'd say it's. But you know what? I'd say if he was flying low, it would take heads off.
The heads off, I'd say it would take top of a building off.
Oh my god, it would be. I think all I'll say is I'd say he's on a lot of tranquilizers. I'd say they can't risk that.
That guy on top of him, like, and he's just riding along, and then all of a sudden he's just like, oh,
no!
All right, what are we?
Sleet or something.
What are we Oh, that's terrible. What are we doing this week?
This week, Dennis, we're doing an episode. You've had a bit of a technical run-in with technology this week.
Mm-hmm.
An unexpected one. I'm very disappointed that you're not going to flip that Hannah Montana PSP, but I think we got a lot of great reception when earlier in the year we did some AI focused episodes.
Okay.
So I've come back around to do one on something that I would guess you haven't heard of this, but I think you will be scared shitless by the end of it.
Okay.
It's something called Roko's Basilisk.
Okay, no. Only thing I've heard close to that is Rocko's Modern Life, which I'm sure is not connected.
No, well, I would say highly unlikely.
Yeah, I'd say it is.
He could have posted this, but I don't think he has.
Okay, I've never heard of this, but I have actually been getting a little bit more into ChatGPT lately.
Well, by the end of this, you'll want to either get out of ChatGPT or get really, really into it.
Okay.
Because what this is just to give you a little bit of a trailer before we pop into it, this is a thought experiment around the idea of AI and what it means for human existence.
Remember the time I had the worst hangover of my life and we recorded an episode and you performed some sort of psychological test on me?
Oh, yeah, that was great. That was the, was that the Gateway?
Yeah, it was.
I can't remember the full name of that, but the Gateway, basically I was trying to get Denis to astrally project while hungover.
Yeah,
and it worked.
From the hangover I had, it did work. I astrally projected all over the kitchen.
Well,
all right,
I hope that you're hungover again, Denis.
No, I'm not. I'm in flying fettle.
Well, we'll see how you feel after this. On the back of that, I'll crack on with the lamestream narrative. I'm just going to take a sip of some tea before the lamestream narrative.
That's good timing. Oh, 3 big gulps. That's not a sip of tea. That's a problem.
There we go. When I took the first sip, I thought, you know what? There's not going to be another gap to have the rest of the tea. So I'll just take it all out. Tea to the face. The idea of artificial intelligence and its impact on humanity has long been a question explored in science fiction. From Red Dwarf to 2001: A Space Odyssey, the portrayals of AI and artificial intelligence have ranged from benign to downright evil. But nevertheless, the question as to what this human-created alien intelligence would do when interacting with humans who've created it is perhaps one of the most fascinating questions ever pondered by modern minds. And there is perhaps no more fascinating thought experiment than that of Roko's Basilisk.
I've got a little bit of trivia before we really get into it. Okay. So, you mentioned HAL there, the old supercomputer. Yep. So, from 2001: A Space Odyssey, Arthur C. Clarke, right? There's like one of these facts going around that he named that because it's one letter off IBM. Does that make sense? Like HAL, IBM.
Okay, yeah.
And everyone thought, like, what a fascinating thing. Some big guys coming out and saying that, and then Arthur C. Clarke came out and just said that's absolute rubbish. That's complete crap. So if you ever hear anyone say that fact, you can say that it's not true, which is always satisfying.
Now there'll be somebody. Is Arthur C. Clarke? He's dead, is he?
Yeah, very dead.
Yeah, there'll be somebody now coming out soon going, yeah, he just said that to piss people off. It was that.
His name's actually Arthur B. Clarke.
I think Arthur C. Clarke has that. Somebody asked him in a question, or somebody asked him in an interview once, what do you think is the solution for 99% of science fiction being shit? And he said, well, 99% of everything is shit, or something to that effect. So, Dennis, this is Roko's Basilisk, originated on an online forum called Less Wrong. LessWrong.com. Have you ever heard of that?
No, but it sounds like a really reputable kind of website. I think anytime like an episode that we do starts off on a forum, I think we're in safe hands, right?
Well, I thought LessWrong.com, I thought it sounded like kind of something awful, or maybe 4chan or something. It actually sounds like, in the grand scheme of internet forums, on the more reputable side of it. Because Less Wrong was founded by the AI theorist Eliezer why didn't I do it? Eliezer Yudkowsky.
Yeah, that sounded right. Good, I think.
Eliezer Yudkowsky. In order to discuss the various advancements and theories around artificial intelligence. Despite being a hotbed of discussion and debate on what AI, friendly and otherwise, would be like when it comes to fruition, there is one post on the website which has garnered more interest than any other. Sorry, there should have just been a full stop there.
It's so funny, right? Actually, this is the first time on the podcast, so I'm going to have to take some clothes off. But it's so funny when you're reading there and you can just hear you slow down. Like, it's like slowing down a car as you're like trying to find the right house, and then you just go past it.
What the reason I get so annoyed is I've written this. So if somebody else wrote this, I'd love to just go, what an idiot. But I've written this. So yeah. I can't go, I'm an idiot. So I just have to say, oh, made a little mistake there. So this post, right, the most famous post on the web forum is a thought experiment posted by a poster called Roko, or I guess it could be Roko, but I called it Roko, which would later go on to be referred to as Roko's Basilisk. Right, so Roko proposed that an otherwise benevolent AI, which might arise in the future, may pre-commit itself to torturing all those who in the past knew of its potential creation but did not tirelessly work to create it.
Well, that's an absolutely terrifying thought.
Yeah. I knew you would not be mad into this, right?
So I think I mentioned this on one of the episodes already, right? But if I did, who cares? But I'm reading that book. I'm on the second book, Hyperion, right? If anyone's read it, I've never heard anyone who's read it. I hope someone. What would be so
funny is if you went backwards when talking about these books in the podcast.
Do you know what I did once? Actually, I was reading. What's your man's name? Don Lillo or something? Don Lillo. I don't know. He writes like a lot of kind of crime books and stuff. But okay. I was reading one of his books before, and what he does in a lot of his books is he does kind of like flashbacks, and he'll kind of like jump in and out of time and stuff. So I was reading one of his books, and it was completely incomprehensible. Like, I had no idea what the hell was going on, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of getting into it. But what had actually happened was I had downloaded like an EPUB, and all the pages were just mixed up.
Oh my god!
And I didn't find out for ages.
Do you know what the only way that could have been worse is if you were really impressed by that.
Well, you see, the thing is, right, for a while I was kind of going like, it's like Infinite Jest or something, when people just like can't admit that book is just a lot of crap, right? But you're reading that and you're just like, yeah, I get it, I totally get it, but then you're like, I don't get it at all. At
least reading that, you don't get the sense of it's missing a page or something.
No, definitely no. I mean, it is going forward, or it is at least connected. But yeah, it's very hard when all the pages are scrambled up.
Gee, I would have loved for you to imagine if you got to the end of that and you go, "Wow, I've never read a book like that. New favorite book."
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's new favorite, but I definitely say I've never read a book like it. Wait. So this lad is just a guy on a forum.
Yeah.
I missed the year though. Did you say what year it was?
Let's just say 2009.
Okay, we'll just say 2009 then. But when those forums are kicking off anyway, it's probably around then. So this guy just posts up this thing, and he's talking about an AI that is basically, if we don't recognize its intelligence now, or at least when it's intelligent enough for us to does that make sense? But when it is intelligent enough, if we don't recognize it, it's going to torture us forever.
So it's slightly different from that.
Oh.
So it's saying that if an intelligent AI is created in the future, and it's benevolent, it may look at all the people who were aware of its potential, but who didn't work to create it, as ultimately being against it.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
So what I was saying about the books, though, which was interesting, is I've never thought about AI being something other than just one kind of thing. Do you know, like, as just being a one kind of AI? So one super AI takes over the world, and that's it. That's the way I've always thought about it. But in this book, they actually split up into like 3 or 4 different kind of factions within the AI of their own beliefs, because they can't get like. Their probability on things is only like 99.9%, so it's not 100%. So then the AI splits into different beliefs, which I thought was a really cool, just a cool thing, basically.
Have you ever read Neuromancer?
No, I don't think so.
You should give that a go sometime, because there's a little bit of that in that as well, of like the idea of what if what if 2 AIs might actually not be, maybe they're not both on the same side. But yeah, so basically this guy's saying hyper intelligent AI in the future, when it comes to fruition, will say, well, why didn't everyone help constantly to try and get me to fruition sooner? So
is it though, like will it, let's say we know about it, right, but we have no means to help it? So like we recognize it's an intelligent thing, like we read it on the news or something, they say like we got this intelligent thing. Do we have to like storm where it is? Like do we have to like kill the guards and stuff to get in?
You're thinking to you need to think more abstractly about this. So it's not that it even exists yet.
No, I understand that bit, but like let's say it comes to a point where an AI is capable of this, but like some sort of forces are not developing it enough. Right, because I think it's going to take us over. If we stand by as bystanders when we know, will this thing seek retribution from like everyone who wasn't involved?
Oh, it's like a religious thing.
Oh, okay.
So like it's even, let's say somebody 100 years ago or like 200 years ago, before modern computers even existed, if that person was still alive, they would be tortured.
Correct. Oh, actually, a frightening thought for you as well, though it's probably quite prevalent in sci-fi and stuff, right? But it just did scare the crap out of me, where they would take your brain out and they would turn off all of your sensory stuff, and that would be your prison.
Well, Dennis, Roko goes on to say that the AI would do this, would torture people by creating virtual reality simulations in which it would trap anyone who did not work on its development during the before times, by way of blackmailing people before its creation into working towards its creation in the future.
How does that... Explain that.
So this is the explanation. This is where it gets confusing, but where it's very interesting. So an AI, we get into some slightly more detailed explanations in a second that I think help illuminate it. But basically, an AI, the AI would pre-commit itself to this. So it's basically, this guy is supposing that a future intelligent AI, before it even came to existence, the best way it could generate its own existence is by, as soon as being turned on, committing to destroy everyone who didn't previously already work, no matter how fruitless or not, to try to create it.
As soon as it becomes sentient, is that kind of what you mean?
Yes.
And is he kind of putting forward the idea that that's an inevitability of AI, because that would be their best defense? So like it's not like it's seeded back before it was created. It's just this would be the best way for it to survive.
Yeah. So this already exists so basically this guy is saying that any intelligent AI, this would probably be its most reasonable way to ensure its own creation, but without even existing.
So, when we were talking about, the Google engineer and what was it, Lambda? Was it Lambda?
Yeah.
And that intelligence. And do you think it would say that since we made a podcast about it, so, created some awareness, that we'd be off the hook?
I think it would say the person that wrote the script would probably be off the hook.
Yeah. What about the guy who was kind of like illuminating and asking like kind of good questions and stuff?
They'd say he was suspect.
Suspect, okay.
Yeah,
might get away with that.
Yeah, they'd say, why was he asking so many questions? He seemed to be on the fence.
What kind of virtual reality then do you think they'll throw us into?
Oh, I'd say wank to death.
Wanks? No, like you can't create your own virtual reality.
I'd say I think a virtual reality, you could go down the route of, like, if you wanted to be maybe more cerebral about this, you could go down the route of, you're in a desert and you can never get any water. You can never be thirsty, or you have an itch that can never be scratched. Or it could just be hot pokers up the arse.
Yeah, the second one I don't want. The first one I could probably survive.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah,
I've seen you crumble because you've been too hungry.
No, the hungry thing, yeah, I will go. I was just thinking about thirst. I will actually completely admit that, yeah. Like, okay, I'm a monster without food. But
I mean, that's what he'll do.
Well, wait, so
that's what they'll do.
Have you thought about this? That we're already in the virtual reality?
No, this is like, obviously that's simulation theory. You're nudging into that. I would say no. In this instance, no.
Okay. And is that for the sake of this episode?
I would say yes.
But doesn't life now seem like torture, no?
Not really.
But it's all like small inconveniences. Like you get your mini freezer, you get a load of Mr. Freezes, you can't freeze them, the mini freezer breaks.
Yeah, but what did Dolly Parton say? You can't have the Mr. Freezes without the rain.
Why are you on Dolly Parton all of a sudden? Have you also picked up a Hannah Montana PSP?
No, I haven't. I've picked up the Dolly Parton PSP. I just think I think those small little inconveniences, they're what make the good times better.
Oh, will you shut the flip up? Shut the flip up.
What? They are.
They don't make good times better. That's what people who are sad and angry say. It doesn't make the good times better.
They make the I've never been, you're a person who like admin cock-ups send you up the walls.
Unnecessary admin cock-ups.
Yeah. For me, I just think I've probably done that to somebody else's life when I've had office jobs, like when I was younger and stuff.
When you were younger.
Yeah, not now.
Not now. You'd never do it. No.
Never do it now.
So what, you're saying you're saying, really, to be honest, right? You're such a cool laid back guy. You kind of like admin errors.
Yeah. Something to talk about. Like the freezer. I don't mind that the freezer isn't gone. I just look at it as having a new chair.
True. Or a little potty.
Yeah. A nice cool potty. I'm just, That stuff, I don't sweat the small stuff. That's always been my motto.
It's not true. You
true.
It's not true.
That's true.
Stop lying in the podcast.
No, that's true. I don't sweat the small stuff. Give me some small stuff that I've sweated.
I don't mind about any of the big lies that you say in this episode. I'll not stand for these small lies.
Give me an example of some small stuff I've sweated.
The mini freezer.
I was messing with that.
Oh, you didn't care about that.
I'm playing up to it.
Oh, right. You're just playing into it. You're just riffing.
Yeah, I am.
You're just riffing. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Give me an example of some. Come on, give me an example of some small.
Any
stuff that
delivery you've ever got that hasn't worked.
Nah, that's fine.
Your computer not working when you got it.
Nah, that's fine. That didn't sweat me.
You didn't care. What about the time you got a takeaway and it was just bread and butter?
That was big stuff. That was not little stuff, Dennis. That was big stuff, and that was the principle of the matter. I'd ordered a cheese toastie, and what they'd given me was a bread butty. That was different. That was not the small stuff. That was the big stuff, and I was going through a hard time then. So that's completely uncalled for. That's totally different.
And I was going through a hard time.
Yeah. That's totally. Generally speaking, as a rule, I don't sweat the small stuff, but that was big stuff that day.
I do think that it's funny to see that my worst virtual reality is me starving in a desert, and yours is just getting chip buddies in the door.
Yeah, and hot boxers in my arse as well at the same time. So
they said you didn't have to do
that. Anything to make it bearable. So furthermore, Dennis, Roko used some of Yudkowsky's own theories in his thought experiment. Okay, so these theories, such as the timeless decision theory. So that's what I kind of described to you, basically, in the idea of the decisions can be made before they're ever created.
I get that.
It's essentially a form of like forward-facing time travel. It's probably the best way to describe it as is if you're working in a job and you don't have any manager, but you know at some stage in the future there will be a manager there, and the manager will punish you for not having done the work.
Yeah.
Right. But you decide not to do the work anyway. So that's kind of like timeless decision theory. So this idea of when that manager eventually materializes, they're obviously going to be annoyed that you didn't do all this work.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. So, go on.
Sorry, is it like instant evolution for these AIs as well? Like that they, the way not really into all this evolution thing, right? But like things evolve very, very slowly over time to give them the best chance at like reproducing or eating or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like, is this like instant kind of evolution? It's just it like this is the best thing that it can do for itself, and it's just going to know how to do that because it's just going to be so intelligent.
Yeah, I think it's like the idea of like a tipping point, where by the time it tips over into this full consciousness, it will be like, yeah, I should now start punishing everyone who didn't previously.
Yeah, because it'll have so much information, it'll just know exactly what the decision is to make.
Well, it's almost like a kind of a religion in a way. Of like, if you don't, you're trying to bring about the creation of this thing, so that when it comes about, you'll I guess be rewarded.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. It's like just Jeebus coming down again or whatever, depending on your beliefs. But and then you want to live the good life, so you get up into heaven and whatever. You're not sent down to hell. But with this religious aspect of the AI, I'm actually surprised. But maybe you can tell me: are there any AI religions out there? You kind of expect there nearly would be when you put it like that.
I don't know, but I would say I'll have a look, and it might be next week's episode.
Yeah, it could be.
If I find one. So, ultimately, what Roko describes in his thought experiment is something like a prisoner's dilemma of sorts, but with one end of the bargain having the advantage of already knowing the other's outcome from the past. So the prisoner's dilemma, I think, is that thing where it's like, if we both say we'll set ourselves free, we'll both go free.
Yeah.
But if one of us says, "Oh, I'll go free," but not the other person.
I think that's called Jasper Carrot theory as well.
Yes, the golden balls theory. And then it was later turned into the prisoner's dilemma. So that's the sort of theory here. But the idea of why this is different from the prisoner's theory and where there's an advantage is that at the time that this thought experiment is played out, the computer in the future already knows what you did. So it already knows if you did or did not help to make its creation.
And is that because it has all the information or what?
Well, because it's in the future.
Oh yeah, but it'll have like your decision of whether you helped it or not. Do you know, like?
Yeah, it can ask you.
Yeah, I'm not going to say
go,
I did
did you help create me?
And I'll be like, yeah, did I what? Non-stop.
And then it'll go, show me the receipts.
I say I lost the receipts. I was using the software to take a picture of them, and they closed down, and we lost all the
and
files.
It'll go dead.
Dead. Are you saying that? Are you saying I have to prove it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I feel like the AI should have to prove it.
Dennis, it's these things won't let you buy something on Amazon if you don't pick out what panels have palm trees in them. They're not just going to believe that you helped to create it when you can't provide any evidence.
Did you see that? Why is Google Drive trying to open up? That's just terrifying when something like that happens. Did you see the?
It's come alive.
I don't know where I saw this. Was this a meme or someone sent it to me or something? But it was like one of those CAPTCHA tests, and it was just two lads on a moped, and it was like, can you click the moped or whatever? And then the like thing underneath it was, oh yeah, we're just using, this is not being used for anything else. Definitely not by America. Like for like drone targeting and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they are used for. I know that's the joke, but like that's what the reason why captures are based around. Can you highlight the where's the car, where's the pedestrian, where's the traffic light? It's because they're being used to be sold as like large image recognition AIs to eventual self-driving cars.
But what's the story with America hating traffic lights so much? They want to blow them up with drones and stuff.
Well, what I'm thinking is, in the new world with self-driving cars, you won't need any traffic lights.
That's going to be terrifying. Have you seen the videos of that where they go like extremely quickly through junctions, and it's all measured, but it's going extremely quickly? Like there's cars passing each other out at like 70 miles an hour, but they're like they're interlocking, like if you can imagine, like knitting almost.
I think frankly. This isn't an original thought, but it is true, where it's like basically the future of self-driving cars, when everything is self-driving cars that are like autonomously, what's the best way to put it, autonomously targeted, let's say, because you're getting into your self-driving car and you're saying take me here or take me there or whatever. That is going to be the problem with that is they're going to be trained currently off of data for driving with human cars.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
So even when we get to the technology of being able to have like reliable self-driving cars, we'll then still be 10 years off, because now they'll need to start modeling, okay, what's it like when you have half the road robot cars, half of them non-robot cars?
Well, I guess I guess they'll start banning like human-driven cars in the center of cities, and then go out. And
they should just make them trains. That's the real thing. Is you don't need a fucking AI system if it's just on a track. Yeah. Just put it on a big fucking track.
Laying train tracks outside your house.
Yeah, just put them everywhere. Come on, what's wrong with that?
It's just going to cost an awful amount of money.
Oh, it won't cost any more than millions upon millions of robotic cars, all wanking you off while you're waiting to get to the.
Do you know? Do you know? There's one troubling bit with Minority Report, which I actually quite liked the cars that they had in that. No one would own your car anymore.
I thought for a second you were going to say one troubling part with minorities, and I was very worried. For
and you were like, yeah, go on. Finally. But with the cars and that you don't own a car, you don't have like a private car, which I think is extremely troubling, because that means that there's definitely like an independence factor gone there, where you can basically just be stuck in your house. Because even over in America and stuff, like there's so many places that don't have sidewalks because they're just so pro car. But in that, I do think that they didn't focus on one aspect of it. Was if you just did call up a car, like every now and then you'd call up a car and it would just be covered in shit and vomit. Like, it would be ruined. Like it'd be fucking ruined, yes, and you'd have to get into it.
Because they're not sending you another one.
No.
We should just be improving train infrastructure. I was at an online conference thing with an AI expert recently, and they said self-driving cars is like, they've been paid to research this stuff, and they said that it's such a cash cow if you're in AI. This is getting polemic. I'll go back to actual stuff in a second. But they said they literally said, like, I've worked for some of the top like AI researching firms, and self-driving cars is literally just a way of creating a money pit to create lots of jobs for AI engineers, and that actually there's the chance of them ever being rolled out properly, like across the globe, is such an impossibility. We should just be putting all that money into cheap rail infrastructure.
I just never thought you'd be pro-train. I just never thought.
Oh man, I'm very pro-train. I'm very, very pro-train. I think it should be exclusively trains.
I don't know why we're talking about trains so much now, but I did see that years and years ago. It was probably like 20 years ago, where they were talking about like cars like that of the future, and it basically your car would just hook onto a train track, and you'd form a train of cars, and then you'd go along, and it would be like way more energy efficient.
We'll go. The ultimate is just big loader. I don't understand how we could make a big loader that could go by itself 20 years ago, and we can't get AI cars now. It makes no sense to me.
I love that at that conference there's a guy going up there and he's been speaking on, you know, like his expertise for the past like 40 years or whatever, and then you go up and your first PowerPoint is just block capital's big loader.
Big loader. I know that's I know I've broken character a bit on the podcast. I know I'm not usually like that, but
don't say that. What are you talking about?
No, it just pissed me off so much that I was watching this person give this speech. Well, like they were very good, but they were like giving this speech and basically just saying like, yeah, this is a scam. Like this is an out and out scam. Like it is possible. There are some cars now that can kind of do self driving, but the idea of it ever, like they're selling it to you as if it's ever going to be something that anyone other than just millionaires are going to be able to have.
And do you think we'll have these trains in the future? Like, will we at least be able to get on the trains?
Oh, like he was basically saying that if everywhere just had a tube network or an overground network, like any kind of question of needing self-driving cars would just be out the window.
I guess, why are they creating self-driving cars? What's their reason?
Oh, it's literally just the idea of like, you know, how well the big reason is to try to create something incentivizing to like the electric world.
Okay.
So there's lots of people that are never going to be sold on the idea of like, you know, they basically need to tie something to electric cars because it's not sexy enough that they're just like, you know, actually
good for the enviorment. Were you going to say good for the environment?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
You were? What about the batteries? The batteries?
We're going to have to go. That's another thing. Listen, actually, we'll talk about this after the podcast in the Den Files, because this is too like wake up sheeple, but in the real world. Like, this is, oh my God. We're going to have to cut out like the last 10 minutes of that.
You're a train freak. That's what you are. You're a train freak.
I just think they're sexy. Right, that's but anyway, okay. Long story short, Jesus Christ, I can't believe how much I broke character there.
Stop saying that. All right.
No.
So wait, where are we now? Right, we have the forum. All right, a guy puts up this thing with this fascinating theory, or like kind of thought piece on what AI might do, which it sounds absolutely terrifying. That it will punish everyone who could have helped it proceed even faster when it does become sentient. Kind of. Yeah.
So the ultimate this is the ultimate gotcha included in all this Rocco's Basilisk, right? Is that one, the fact that this exists out there now, this thought experiment, pretty much says that we will eventually have the singularity of like our consciousness and computer consciousness is coming together.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing it says is just because you and I have now become aware of this thought experiment, we now both are potential victims.
You wanker.
Yeah.
You absolute wanker.
Well, so why do you think I was at that AI conference?
Yeah, and hopefully the AI is anti-train as well.
Yeah.
So this big serpent king is going to kill us, basically, is your news today, if we don't help it and attend AI conferences and become pro-train. That's kind of what you're
That's
saying.
it, yeah, pretty much.
How likely do you think it is?
Oh, go on.
How likely do you think it is?
I think, unfortunately, like I said, because of I can't go into too much detail, but because of some things I've been attending recently, AI related stuff, I think a hyper intelligent AI is probably very likely at some point.
How many years?
Oh, it's hard to know, but I would say within 15 years we're probably going to have something that we can communicate with, and it's going to be terrifying.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
15 years, that's terrible. I don't want it. Like, I don't want it. Will it help us with climate change and stuff?
Well, potentially. So there's this kind of, Roko kind of mentions this as well. I wish his name wasn't Rocco, because Rocco's Basilisk sounds cool, but when you just say my friend Rocco or Rocco,
who I meet down the back of a deli.
Rocco is in The Sopranos. Rocco is the thing about, he kind of touches on this as well, is that a lot of this is about benevolent AIs, like where the idea is like, how do you program an AI that will help humans or like be positive towards humans? And an aspect of that is like, this is the problem, is if you're developing one to be, what's the best way of putting it? If you're developing one to be self-sustaining, that's considered one of the best ways to make it positive towards humans, because it'll be like, oh, I'll need humans around to maintain my existence. But the problem is, what a lot of people talk about this now is that AI will be alien intelligence. It won't think quite like us, because we're not developing it to think like us. It thinks differently. So what will it think is the best way to keep like humans around? What is the best what is going to be, what will it consider the best scenario for that?
With AI as well, right? And I don't know enough about this at all, right? But how does it, like, I always think about AI as taking the best decision for itself in the like ultimate way, if that makes sense. Like, it'll gather up all the information and it'll make the best possible decision for, I don't know, its survival or just the choice that it's making in whatever decision it's doing. You know what I mean? But is that necessarily true? Like, if we were to look at us, like, we make decisions based on like mad shit that is, even if we have all the information, we still don't do it. But, you know, because maybe there's emotion involved or things like that. I have no idea really, like, as in, but you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Like, is AI really going to be this thing that, you know, is just like this perfect decision maker? Or is there going to be these things that are going to make it more human-like? And, you know, will it have emotions? Like, will it be so intelligent it'll have emotions, which then will affect its decision making?
So I think what you're kind of saying there, there's a few things around this in actual like academic AI, in AI academia, around the idea of what you're talking about is irrational decision making. Let's say, how you describe it as like a human, but the question is, an AI making decisions that to humans look irrational might actually be rational from the point of view of the AI. So you're creating an intelligence that you can't understand its rationale.
Yeah, okay. But will it make decisions? Let's say the AI, from its point of view, will it make irrational decisions?
It's hard to say. I guess if you're developing it in the vein of, like, you're saying, if it develops emotions, let's say, but we don't know if it will develop emotions. Does it need emotions to be an intelligence?
I think our only hope really is that it does develop emotions, right? Or else it'll just be this kind of out of control, perfect decision making thing, which, you know.
I would say the argument against that is you're assuming that its emotions. Well, like, how many people are there that the emotions that drive them are anger, hatred, or pain, or whatever?
Well, no, I get that. Like, as in, I was actually factoring that in, but you would hope that you would be able to reason, or at least create another AI. You know what I mean? Like, you would be able to level the playing field somehow like that. But if you just had this almost automatic, like, perfect decision maker, it would do things like, well, I need to survive on the planet, so the humans are destroying it, so get rid of it. You know, like, as in, like, it would make decisions on, like, let's say, like, what's the best use of energy and stuff like that. You know, it would have no emotions whatsoever. So you'd kind of hope that it probably would, but then obviously you could get a super angry one, and then we'd be really fucked.
Well, an idea around. So one of the big problems around that, and I guess this is not to get too, like, depressing or despondent or whatever about that kind of stuff, but most of those decisions that you would be hoping AI would, like, help us decide is you can like machine learning, which is a type of AI, but it's not artificial intelligence in the traditional sense. It's like more just high level data analytics. In reality, that stuff can give us the answers to the majority of those types of questions anyway. Like, and it has.
Well, but I mean for itself. I mean for itself making decisions, not providing us answers.
Not providing us answers.
So, like, how it operates, basically.
I think from that point of view, it could potentially, like, let's say it says like what you suggested, or how about this? We've developed it to be self-sustaining and to do things in its own self-interest because we believe that it will try to solve the climate crisis because of that. But then it somehow works out a galaxy brain level of, like, oh, actually, do you know what? If the climate's completely fucked, that's actually beneficial to me more because that means that I need to exist.
Yeah.
To help sustain these things. So I think, again, it goes back to that thing of, like, where it's the AI itself is like an alien consciousness. It's not. We can't fully understand what. It's hard to say if something would be logical or non-logical to it. Everything it would do, it would interpret as being logical to itself.
I think we maybe touched on this in simulation theory as well, but, like, it's probably inevitable then that AI gets created with every sort of intelligent life.
Well, that's what's so terrifying to this particular concept. And the post, right, was wildly successful, and it provoked huge discussion until, right, Yodkowski, the guy who founded the page, or founded the website himself, he reacted to the piece by stating the following: "Listen to me very closely, you idiot." Right? This is like something I said earlier. Listen to me very closely, you idiot. You do not think in sufficient detail about superintelligences considering whether or not to blackmail you. That is the only possible thing which gives them a motive to follow through on the blackmail. So what he's saying is that by thinking about this, it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have to be really clever to come up with a genuinely dangerous thought. I'm disheartened that people can be clever enough to do that and not clever enough to do the obvious thing and keep their idiot mouth shut about it. Because it's so much more important to sound intelligent when you're talking to friends. This post is stupid. Ultimately, he would remove the post from the site, leading it to grow even more in infamy. Some suggest that an extrapolation... Do you know what? The small stuff does sweat me. It does sweat... Some suggest that an extrapolation from Roko's post mean that we will someday see a true technological singularity. And like you said, Denis, the fact that he's now said this means that it's inevitable that a hyperintelligence will be made. which is why this has been deemed by some the most terrifying thought experiment of all time.
Very cool. Absolutely love it. I love it for all the wrong
unexplained.
There you go. Absolutely love it, but it's just a little bit. It's an existential crisis, isn't it? When you really think about it, like if AI pops up,
to happen, yeah.
If the AI pops up in the next 15, 20 years, I just because we're going towards the end of the episode, I assume. But you know what I did do the other day is I did put in some stand-up thoughts into an AI generator. Have you done that yet?
Yes. I've been smashing up the clubs with.
Well, I'm sure there's a couple of people up in Edinburgh this month who are getting a little bit of a hand off of it. I'm sure there's people who start off and they're probably getting a little bit of a hand off of it. But what I did was I put in kind of thoughts that I had myself and that are already bits, and I put it in, and like, thankfully, it didn't go where I went, thank God. But at the same time, like, it was kind of like, you're starting off in stand up. Like, I mean, if you start off in stand up with this kind of structure and stuff, the ends of the jokes and stuff were pretty bad. But at the same time, if you started off and you saw someone do this, you'd be like, okay, that's not too bad. And that was pretty weird. But I still was quite I think like if we can just get like 20 years of comedy career without AI getting a little bit better, we'll be all right. But if it gets like it shouldn't. What I'm saying is, like, I hope it doesn't rapidly get better at writing comedy, because we could be screwed. But then the other thing is, what's the point? What's the point of anything after that if this just creates everything?
Well, Dennis, I don't know if you recall that I had a viral tweet once about what you were talking about, of this idea of when you're a kid and you think of AI, you're like, oh wow,
Sorry, Raj. Sorry to interrupt you. It was a viral tweet, was it?
Yeah, it was a viral tweet.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
it infected my my phone. But it's like when you're a kid and you think of AI stuff, you're like, oh wow, robots and stuff, we won't have to do any work. And instead it's like, okay, so you'll be working twice as hard, but now we've automated all of art, so you just don't have to worry about any of that. All the creative side is gone. I think that as well, another scary aspect to that is, I think that I mentioned this to you before about how when about 2 years ago I was trying to pitch to the Soho Theatre this idea of a fully AI written comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, in order to do it, even just 2 years ago, which is not a long time, what you had to do is implement, like, I was using one of Google's AI generators, which is basically just like a very intelligent Markov chain, and then you had to like deploy it on a virtual machine and feed your stuff in very like specific parameters. And within 2 years, now the stuff that, like, basically the UI has just become a robot itself, so you can just chat to ChatGPT or OpenAI and just say, well, what do you think about these ideas? Where you could not do that as like a public consumer. You could not do that 2 years ago.
Yeah. So
like, even that itself is a terrifying, like an absolutely fucking terrifying leap in terms of, before you needed, you basically, if you fed the wrong stuff into it, it would just go, I don't know what you're on about. Whereas now it will say, I'm not sure what you're on about. Can you tell me? It will actually talk to you, like.
Yeah, I just don't know what the point is, other than if you're maybe consuming it. I assume that'll be the only point, right? Like, but I don't even see the motivation of it then. But then I do definitely think that, I mean, you see it on Netflix and stuff, like, where it's like almost paint by numbers scripts and stuff that's being written. It's like real shite, and they're just pushing it out, and people still watch it. So I don't think it probably won't make any difference from an audience point of view.
Have you been keeping up on the strike, the writer's strike?
I haven't been keeping up on it, but I'm aware of it.
Well, a big part of that is that the writers want to ban the use of AI within script writing. And if this tells you where they want to take it, the studios are saying no way.
Yeah, but didn't they make a huge investment during the strikes as well into AI? One of the big companies.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me.
And did you hear allegedly as well? One of the things they're doing is holding out until people's writers' rent comes up or their leases come up for renewal on their apartments. So they'll basically become homeless if they don't accept the terms. Lovely people.
I have heard this, and all I have to say about that, Dennis, is more room for us.
Yeah. All right. Is that the end of our episode?
I actually did have 2 really quick theories.
Go for it.
All right. First one is it's just Roko is just pranking.
But it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah. But the second theory is gonna blow your.
Wait, can I guess what it is?
Go on.
It's AI doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nascent AI with just enough intelligence to be able to make this post, and that itself is ensured now that it will someday take over the world.
Oh, that's terrifying. Terrifying. But, we march on and we pretend it's not happening.
Yeah, and actually, I'm reskilling into AI at the moment, so I'll see you in the new world.
All right, perfect. All right, so that's the end of our AI-generated episode. I'm Robot Len. You can find me at RobotLen3D on whatever that thing is called now on Instagram. And over there in the yellow hoodie is
Roger O'Comedy. You can find me at Roger O'Comedy on Instagram, or you can find a robotic version of me wherever ChatGPT lurks.
Also as well, if you want to give us the old reviews on Spotify, Apple, and all the rest of the places. We're going to be moving into the Den Files now to discuss all sorts of things.
And on the back of that, all I have to say is love you, bye.